Weird dude, looking at me from far behind its eyeballs, reframing in its vortex iris the very essence of my crumbling being. A creature creeping slowly, its feature being bony, solemnly creating a version of nothingness, bestowing onto me the quiet but stern demand that I must confess. Weird creature, why can't you just ignore me? Walk along as if nothing was like so much else before me. Don't bore me. I will walk away and leave you, never consciously deceive you. Can't you sense that I relentlessly receive you? Reconfigurating your silent frequencies, obliterating for violent indecencies, reciprocating kindly as she might see, or tell me why else would I be, so evidently close to your face. My nose is engraced with who knows with what trace arose from the trans-selected tranquility, through the mediocre mother of humility, between the walls that form your presence sillily and divide your secret sacred space willingly. Dude, honestly, spare me your fraudulent lies. All your bareheaded whys I despise. Handpicked continuities emerging from the pond that used to be a river, carrying the flow of time from the mountain of sublime to the driest dirty valley within the riverbed of sighs. Continuing to mess with my mind. Stop the clinging unless you know why. Cease the singing, don't you stress me, or I will eventually break out and caress your denial. I care not what your motives be, why stare at me for eternity. Your frown leaves behind a stench in my ego, so large too far. Loosen your grip and let me go. I screamo, the embrace of a stranger tightening, my holiest defensive mechanisms lightening. I'm starting to attach, it's definitely frightening. Psych, I mean, who might you be? Take 3 steps back and don't lie to me. Don't you chain my vigilance with your anthrax paws and complain like a midget with pant strap-ons. You're in vain, like ridiculous pantheons. Chances on, glances gone. Unreluctantly accurate adventures of the misshaped hands of a guru, deconstructing precisely pondered pretenses from the holy lands of voodoo. Not a buck in your wax senses defines clearly what you do, like a truck hitting fences in a rigorous mission to recklessly sue you? Dude, reload the effortless guns of false compassion, mashing glorious moments of truth instead of unfortunately keeping stashing notorious installments of youth for the minor sake of everlasting sensations that will come to pass like the past. Spikes move fast, compulsions of the ever-hurting human mind, miraculously blind to the reoccurring tragedy of all mankind. Oh, why? Can't you or your followers ever see the ridiculously omnipresent sign? Can't you see we're trying to stop the menace-like destruction of our home? Alas, we're dying. Frying our spirits endlessly, relentlessly, automating survival mechanisms with jealousy for an entity that couldn't care less for the irrelevant mess it produced, wouldn't even stress for a test in its own remarkably rigid juice, and accept a truce, hasn't kept a generation of knowledge-dehydrated copycats from questioning, digesting, media-hyped illusions on a regular RGB basis. Now take this, self-constrained prisonotomy, like a badly shaped oasis. I fucking hate this goddamn nostalgic summer in May piss, like a hard-working man who turns into a compulsive rapist. Being engineered within preoccupied mindsets, even duller than the dullest asymmetry. For goodness sake, it's about time that the general step on the stage and declare openness to hopelessness for a fraction of the minimum wage. Answering prayers of the soldiers he instructs will only indefinitely result in the spectacular combustion of full-blown rage. Yell it out, we need a sage! An authentic prophet who preaches directly from prep school, freeing slaves from their carbon-reinforced and military-acquired life-size metal cage, crushing societal structures with a splendid hammer of humility like the mysterious ancient utility that was used back in the days at the dawn of the Golden Age. Please, finally free me from this mundanely decorated, close-encountered, fragile maze. A phase will come to disconnect me from my inner demon. His semen is mercilessly slicing through my very core whilst conducting the heaviest of treason. He's mean and lean, like an anally penetrating, cartoonishly devastating, drilling, killing doomsday machine. Lurching like a dark lullaby for my innermost gene. Have you ever seen how a man is threatened by his very own integrity more than heavily, not even considering why or whether he, or even instead of the, greedy like a one-armed bandit, viciously staring at every angle of your anatomy? How can you surrender to a beast that's nothing else than your own invulnerable reflection? Its selection is scanning every part of you for elements of weakness so it can finally take predominant action. Its only satisfaction is chewing your identity from inside, swallowing prejudice, pity, purity, and pride. Tell me, how can one survive? Strive perhaps for isolation of the source just in order to keep the morbid shellfish called the body happily alive. Or detached to indifferency, for freedom and for decomposed indignity, repeated through thorough meta frigidity and cheated on by warlords who despise the concept of immaculate efficiency. In a one-time only and all-including act of never-before-seen unsorcery, morbidly, unforcibly, letting all acquired weapons of mass seduction fall to the ground, yet small in a sound that evolves all around, neither tall or profound, till they crawl out of bound, like a wall never found, round to unpleasantness, uncompatible like a peasant's kiss, eternal gratitude to heaven's bliss that's inseparable like the weather is. Fallen to the ground like angels in despair, one Saul's arsenal of deadly deeds dissolves in the aroma of thin air. For this demon has been cursed with the inconceivable heat of his own ever-fatal breath, lured into eternity with nothing but the siege of the ego, resulting in inevitable and final death. Dude, has the secretly staring creature vanished yet? Didn't he stand right here a second ago and watched his eyeballs wet? Or could it be that he, the beastly rotten demon with hands the size of a deeply rooted tree, was perceiving circumstances that I simply couldn't see? Or was the omnipotent creature with the terrorizing glance of death, the irony-colored leather skin and the really rotten breath, just me?